Thursday night, Garnet and Old, as always at 7 o'clock Eastern Time every week. I'm Ryan Ironclad Eastman, and that is Vincent Ciccarelli. Vince, how are you on this Thursday, the day after your little Jack's Club, Knowles Club there?
I'm feeling pretty good, right? I think you forgot that you had put ironclad in your name
I
there.
like it. I think it should just stay.
It's an ironclad name. And last night was great. And we're going to talk a little bit about that at some point during the show tonight. Who knows when? But before we do all that, we always try to make sure everyone knows. Because if you're tuning in right now, this is the first time you've tuned in. First of all, welcome. But if you've been here a while, you know the deal. Ryan and I are no inside info, no contacts, no problem. And so you may be asking yourself, so what's the deal? Well, the deal is Ryan and I are just really passionate about the Noles, and we like to talk about all things Nole, and hopefully you guys too, and that's why you're here tonight. The other thing we like to talk about every week, Ryan, is our buddy, John Black. John Black is the captain. He's the captain of Captain Black's fishing charters out of Panama City Beach, Florida. And he is a Nole. He is a diehard Nole. He is a Marching Chiefs alum. If you're really deep into the Marching Chiefs lore, he is a member of Screech Squad. And if you have some questions about that, you can ask it in the comments.
Yep.
But John Black sponsors the studios. And a lot of the gear you see behind me is a direct gift from him. So thank you, John Black. And if you are going to look for some charter fishing out that way in the Panhandle, give him a call and let him know that Ironclad or VC Knoll sent you from Garnet Old.
Yeah, no, I'm excited this week, Vince, because it feels like for the first time in a long time we have a more real feeling college football as a whole news. It's the time of year, so we have a bunch of topics to get to. Let's start off with the topic du jour, which is, of course, the kickoff time announced for 3:30, which means it's going to be wetter than a Diddy party out there in the stadium.
Did you write that, or is that a little AI
no,
help for you?
That's off the cuff right there. That's just
that's off
the
the
Diddy
noggin.
trial's happening right now, so yeah.
That's good stuff.
So yeah, 3:30. Sorry. If I'm not at a game in August or September or even October, 3:30 is usually my favorite time slot for either the Knowles or a big game, just because you feel like, hey, I get to go to bed on time. It's enough time to tailgate or to party if it's an away game, while still having enough time to clean up and it not be super late. So I love it. I usually love 3:30 games. I understand it's going to be August, it's going to be hot, but listen, if you're not going to show up to a 3:30 game for Florida State, Alabama, and you already especially if you already live in Florida, you're used to the heat. You might as well just make the best of it and hopefully watch the Knowles come out there. Now, speculation abound. A lot of good games that weekend. So I know a lot of people were completely outraged at the lack of the night slot. But actually, when you look at all the games as a whole, I'm like, yeah, Florida State, if we had a 10-2 season last year, we probably would be a night kick. But guys, we won 2 games last year, so and Alabama didn't rock the world last year either. So it's kind of like, yeah, I actually think this is the appropriate time slot. What do you think?
Other than the fact that I thought the sympathy vote was going to swing our way because of Lee Corso.
It's still good from that standpoint. We'll talk about that.
And to be honest with you, I'm not necessarily opposed to 3:30. I don't really like noon games.
Yeah, no one does. Sucks.
But noon games are good if you're playing like some nobody and you have like the rest of the day to hang out in town. Like there's no tension about the game at all. And you kind of get the game over and done with. and
So,
maybe you're
or a
tailgating
slot.
after maybe you're tailgating after the game for a while, but I'll tell you one of the reasons why 3:30 works for me. 3:30 works for me because if it's a night game, and I know this sounds really, really weak. If it's a night game, then I got to figure out, you know, whose limbs I have to sell in order to pay for a hotel room.
Yeah, have you seen the prices?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
We're talking
So,
$2,000 a night.
I live 3 hours from Tally, and for a noon game, it's obviously, kind of a pain in the neck to get there super early in the morning, but at least you're excited about the game, right? You're excited to get there. You're excited to tailgate and see some friends you haven't seen before. And then you have, the evening to go get dinner with some friends, and then you have enough time to get home. 3:30 is kind of that sweet spot, right? You don't have to get up super early unless you
Or
want to
same day
tailgate
travel, yeah.
yeah, tailgate real early like we try to do, right? Uh, and you can still, the game is, provided there's no weather delays, the game is over in 4-ish hours. You can still go get dinner. And you can still get home, and it could possibly be just after midnight when you get home for me. But when you're talking about a night game, while I appreciate and for the vibe perspective,
Yeah.
it's so much better. The weather, because it'll be a sticky dark, right?
And
It'll be dark and humid, but at
mm,
least you're not getting
stinky.
extra crispy. Um, and so you get the vibe of that, and the lights and with those two uniforms, those iconic uniforms on the field under the lights, and the Chiefs and the chop and all this other stuff. That's all well and good. And if you're winning, it's awesome. We'll get to that in a moment. But then, for those of us that are not paying $1,000 for a one night stay in the
Oh,
Motel 6,
oh,
um, you know, that drive home is miserable.
yeah. Speaking of that, Vince, I need to. I'm going to ask you something live on the air. A favor from your friend Big Papa East.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
So, this isn't for sure. I don't need you to commit. I don't need you to commit. But Kristen already knows that she has to work that holiday weekend.
Mhm.
So, but however, I still, of course, like I'm off the Labor Day weekend and everything. So I'm thinking we have friends in Jacksonville, right off Landing.
You have
Maybe
friends
we,
here.
yeah, no, I'm saying yes. We have friends there, but they've already said like, hey, come stay with us, for that game beforehand,
Mhm.
and maybe you swing by and pick your friend Big East up
I have no problem with that.
because that would make things set up just coordinating. And you're right. I looked at the prices just to be like, it's just me. Maybe I'll just get a hotel room. Uh, I almost choked, which is weird for me. Which is weird, Vince, because it's not like we haven't had big games here.
Yeah.
But what this does tell you, for the city of Tallahassee, and I'll get back to the 3:30 time slot in a second, but for the
Yeah.
city of Tallahassee, an inevitable move to the Big Ten or SEC, it's gonna be money, like big big name teams that we haven't had a historical long term rivalry with coming to town in Tallahassee because like we play Clemson at home and the hotels aren't $2,000. We've played home openers against Miami on Labor Day weekend when we're both ranked and it's not that much. So I've never seen hotel prices that high in Tallahassee where even if you stay in like Live Oak, you're still talking like 500 a night. And I know what's in Live Oak. It ain't great. So yeah, I'm
Well,
not gonna stay in a
hold
hotel
on.
room. But
Live Oak's got the busy bee.
yeah, it sure does. It does. I could stay there. I could just sleep in the car.
You got a beautiful bathroom you could use.
But here's the beauty of this whole situation, Vince. Uh, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with my second ticket. Should I just enjoy the extra space it allows me, spread out a little bit, or do I pack every last knoll that I can get into, or Kristen's brother-in-law, Alabama fan.
Mm,
Spiced it up a little bit. There's a lot of options here. There's a lot of.
yeah.
I'm thinking I take the extra space and be a
Or you
selfish guy.
or you sell it and make a ton of money.
Yeah, but I want to know who I'm selling it to.
No, I
Does that
got
mean
you.
I
Yeah,
don't need
yeah.
a Billy Bob belly hanging out of his shirt screaming at the
High
refs.
tide.
Yeah, high tide. I will be saying that a lot when I
Yeah,
see a Miami fan, not Miami, Alabama fan. But
yeah.
back to 3:30.
So
It
back to
feels like
3:30.
it takes, for me at least. I think the 3:30 slot doesn't feel as much pressure on Florida State as an 8 p.m. Like if I'm walking into an 8 p.m. game against Alabama, I'm like, it brings back memories of us walking into that Notre Dame game at home a few years
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
the one we went to overtime and lost. 3:30, although it's still Alabama, because of how hot it is and all the other circumstances of and you don't have all those hours to build up to 8 o'clock kick and the night feeling and everything. Anytime I've been to a 3:30 big game, it's always felt like, yeah, we could win or lose this. Like I don't feel as much anxiety on my end than an 8 o'clock game. I don't know why. It's
Well,
psychological.
it's because night games you automatically in your brain think of this is a big deal, right?
Yeah,
Because it's under the lights. It's probably, maybe one of the only games that's on at that time. It's like it's like the one the whole college football world is focusing on. And like, you know, we're nervous about it. We're not playing any snaps, but we feel like we are, right?
right.
We're yelling, we're screaming, we're yelling at refs. We're hopefully not, yelling expletives at the stadium because there are often kids around. That's just a note that I'll send out there. But a 3:30 game has a little bit more of a collegial feel to it, right?
Yeah,
Um, you haven't gotten all juiced up because you've only been tailgating for however long, and you got to get to the game, right? And you got to tear down the tailgate if you're the
in the
one
heat.
that's, yeah, putting it up. So
Although we don't have to do that really anymore.
no, we need to talk about that though.
Have
I'm
you
not
gotten your
sure.
lot? We'll talk
Not
about that.
yet. Not
I'm
yet.
nervous.
I'm a little nervous too. Um, so yeah, so the 3:30 game, maybe you don't get as much anxiety about that. The other thing is while we're all going to be pouring all of our energy into wiping the debacle of last season out of our memories, the fact of the matter is that the first game of the season is against Alabama, who, while they didn't have one of their best seasons last year, is still ahead of where Florida State is. We've got a brand new staff, we've got brand new schemes, and we've
Yep.
got almost 50% or more new people on the roster. And this is the first time they're going to play a game together. The the chances of winning that game are not great, but we're all going to have that anxiety like, what if?
Yeah.
Once the game starts, you start seeing how it plays out. If they're hanging tough, then, maybe that anxiety amps up a little bit. But for me going into that game, I'm going to be more of the pragmatic and saying, hey, let's show progress. And I know it's weak. I know people say that's weak. You just got to you got to want to win every game. I do want to win, but I'm also a realist about what's stacked against this team for the first game of the season.
Oh man, I'm getting nervous thinking about the game. It doesn't happen often, but this game can potentially mean so much for the season or mean nothing. Because if you win, it means, I mean, you talk about kickstarting your vibe.
Yeah.
If you lose, you're like, yeah, we were probably going to lose that game. Hopefully, it's not a blowout. But like, if you lose, you're like, okay, let's get into the ACC play. We got a pretty easy next 3 games. Let's go for it. But if you win, you're talking like, man, have we been underselling the Knowles?
Well, yeah, but if you win that game, Ryan, I don't know how much that means either, except that it is a major story, right? And you get a
which you
lot of
desperately
juice.
need.
You get a lot of juice from that. But really, that if they win that game, that's not going to be the finished product for the season.
Yeah,
So it's highly possible they're going to, and they will drop a couple games after that. So
sure.
it's not like that's the launching pad to, in all realism,
Hopefully.
to an undefeated season. There's just too many things that have to be solved when you're talking about brand
Yep.
new staff, new schemes, and a highly new roster. So,
Yep.
um, folks that are in the chat, Ryan's going to shout you out here in a moment.
Yep.
But thank you for joining and watching tonight. If you wouldn't mind, grab the show link and share it in your social media of choice. That would be awesome for us. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you hit the like button, you say to yourself, what does that do? It does a lot, actually, and it can help out the show. So hit the like button. And if you're really feeling saucy, you can subscribe on YouTube. And that gets you to make sure you get all of the notifications and everything every time we go live. And if you're really highly motivated to line the Garnet and Old coffers, right, Ryan?
We need
The
it.
coffers. Well, I don't know about lining the coffers, but this is our weekly goal. We try to get 5 super chats on YouTube or a $25 hit. And so in order for you to do that, you need to be watching on YouTube. So if anybody has the heart to do that tonight, we would appreciate it. And Ryan, why don't you do the shout outs?
Except Mr. Wright's no Diddy parties. Oh man, it's gonna be oiled up out in that stadium. Breeze Fry writes in and says,
Is
"Hey,
this Breeze Fry?
I think it is.
All right.
Breeze, is this Breeze Fry? I'm assuming it is by the name, but maybe it's a different Breeze. We have definitely not the football wins, but it's
No,
not
not
Breezy at
today.
all. No, Mr. Tim Ship. We both know Tim. Tim's a good guy.
My brother.
Also, the great profile picture, Tim. Exactly how I picture you every time I think about you.
Yeah.
Um,
When you're
let's
laying in
get to a
bed.
few more. Look at Gary West, my man, out here. If we play like we did against Notre Dame in 2021, I feel good. I'd be like, hey, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know why? Because one thing that game in 21 against Notre Dame. Oh man, my man, we got all
What in
kinds of
the
super
world?
chats. I love it. Oh, membership.
No, hold on now. This is the first time we may have had this, Ryan.
Oh, you gifted. Oh, someone hit it already.
Tim Ship actually gifted 5 memberships to others.
Nice.
So this is a first. This is a Garnet Old first. This is the first time we've had a viewer gift memberships to other members.
That's what you do.
I'm kind of speechless here. Tim, thank you so much. And those of you that are in the chat that got gifted, we got Lee Brown here, gifted a membership. We've got Mike Holly, gifted a membership. We got 850 Knowles for Life, gifted a membership. We've got Cody Johnson, man, gifted, and CHJ229, gifted. You guys, let Tim know. Give your thanks to Tim. I mean, that's super awesome that he did that. Thank you, Tim. And you guys, thank Tim as well. Wow.
So thank you, Tim. And real quick to bounce back to the game. One thing I'm worried about, and I know you are, Vince. Right now, I'm looking at my seat selection countdown, and as well as your parking countdown. In 17 days, 19 hours, 51 minutes, and 50 seconds, I can select my exact seats and my parking. Now, here's what I'm worried about. I've heard rumblings, Vince, that based on my level, it might be Civic Center, brother. Those are the rumors I'm hearing. I mean, I'm serious about this. So I will be very frustrated if that. Now, here's the thing: if that's the case, I just go on StubHub and I buy lot 12 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make it happen. But annoying that I don't like this whole countdown process. I get it. I actually don't mind it for the seats because I'm not worried about where my section is. The seat urgency uh, is not going to be at an all-time high. I do not believe all the season tickets are sold out. Like, I think you can still buy season tickets, or at least become a booster and get them. And I picked intentionally the section that is most likely to be most empty, so that when seat selection came available, I want an aisle seat or I want one by the concrete
Right,
to
right.
my left. So I have all those options. But also, when you play like a no-name team that's not any good, it's nice to sit by yourself, like, and have some space, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, only 17 more days, and I set a reminder on the personal system that cannot be named to not activate everyone's phone to remind me 30 minutes before that goes live that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not feeling great about that, Vince. Are you getting a little nervous?
I am getting a little nervous, and I know this is a tangent we're taking, and that's okay because this is something that I probably wanted to bring up anyway. Our seat selection is a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, you're before me.
So, and let me just tell you what my booster rep told me.
Mm.
My booster rep told me that I said, well, what are the chances of getting lot 12? And those of you that are watching tonight, you're like, what's the deal with lot 12? Why that doesn't seem like it's that great of a lot because it's near the tennis center and it's far away. It's a hidden gem. Lot 12 is a hidden gem. It's got a little breezeway at the building there by the Spiker Center. So if it starts to rain, as a matter of fact, sometimes we don't even put up a tent. We're
We
just in
just
the
tailgate in
breezeway.
there. Yeah.
And if you're really lucky, if you've done well by the football gods, then someone will come out of that door of the building, and you can prop it open, and you have access to air conditioning. And I hope I'm not ruining this, but you also have access to some beautifully clean bathrooms. And
Yeah, with a
so,
shower.
no, not a shower. Actually, it's a science building, so there's
Yeah.
probably like an eye wash in there.
Yeah, there's.
And the other thing that it has there is outlets.
Mm-hmm. For TVs.
So
Yeah.
so lot 12 is not a huge lot. They're not a lot of can't get a lot of people in there, but that's the lot that I've had and Ryan's had for the last few years or so.
Yeah.
And we really like it. The only thing I like better than that is being right next to the Chiefs on lot 7.
That's more
There's
expensive too.
no way I'm getting that lot because
Yeah.
my booster level is not high enough. But anyway, my booster rep said that she was pretty confident with the things that she's seen and the types of things that have been going on with people re-upping and all this other kind of stuff, that that she's pretty confident that I'm going to be able to retain that spot.
Are you able to, in the checkout process, get more than one spot?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Because that's an interesting. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I think we spent enough topic. 3:30. Hey, it's going to be a good game.
It is.
It'll be hot. It'll be stanky. Vince and I, if we are traveling together, could do a show in the car on the way back home with
We'll do
AirPods in.
not only that, but we will, as we stop at the Busy Bee, because that's a must. We will do a quick live from the Busy Bee.
The service there sucks.
It really is bad, but you could do a tour of the beef jerky aisle, and I will I'll do a tour of the candy shop area there. So
I don't think they'll let me do a tour of the bathrooms. I think they frown upon that thing.
They probably do. You'll probably get some really weird stares, and rightly so. Rightly so. So 3:30, right. Ryan, I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope that game day with Corso is there. I don't know how that all works.
Game day's done 3:30 games before.
Yeah, they have, but it's not the norm.
Can I tell you my reasoning?
Well, because he's a Florida State grad?
No. I mean, like, why 3:30? He's an old man, and maybe the thinking is, hey, he wants to be there for the game. Maybe they honor him at halftime for all we know, and it's enough for him to see the game and still get some sleep and not keep an old man up till 12.
Well, think about the whole like Tom Rinaldi lead in of that.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
gonna be
there's going to
amazing.
be
Yeah,
like slow motion going through like the pictures of old Doak Campbell Stadium and the Sunshine Scooter clips and all that. To me, it's like if they don't cash that in, they're dumber than I think they are.
sure. Yeah. Do we want to move to either ACC meeting talk or slightly more connected, the ESPN package talk around like
Well,
watching
we
your
can do
games?
them in a different order if you want.
Let's because they're connected to like, hey, we're watching a game, and if you're
Yeah,
watching from
yeah,
home, so I'm gonna first tell the story, read the story, and then I'm gonna tell some odd feedback that I think is hilarious that people don't understand. So ESPN Disney announced that come this early fall, meaning before college football season, that they are going to launch the long rumored direct to consumer model ESPN. I think it's called Unlimited, ESPN Unlimited. They already have ESPN Plus, where occasionally there's some like ESPN 3 games on there, but this is going to be full ESPN. And a lot of people at first were like, I'm not paying just for ESPN. Guys, it's not just like ESPN. It's ESPN one, two, news, ESPN, SEC Network, ACC Network, and most importantly, because at first I was worried, I was like, still not enough for me when they said ABC on ESPN, because most of the Florida State games, if they're in prime time of any kind, are on ABC, unless we're playing
right,
Notre
right.
Dame. And Notre Dame, if you really want to, you can get on Peacock. They broadcast it on Peacock, which I already have Peacock. Um, so you get ABC on ESPN, all the ESPN network channels, like all the channels.
Yep. Including ACC Network,
Yeah.
ACC Network Extra, so you can buy your tack glasses and your
Yep.
Flex Seal.
Exactly.
Um,
And for the first year, bundled with Disney Plus and Hulu for $29.99 a month.
oh, is
Now,
it? Wait. Is that the plus bundled? Is that the price for the bundle? I don't think it is.
no, so it's $39.99 a month for ESPN
With
Unlimited
okay,
for the first year. By itself, ESPN Unlimited is $29.99.
okay. But the
So
bundled
still,
one with Disney and Hulu,
it's
yeah.
$39.99.
Okay.
So for someone who already like me, I have Disney Plus. I love Disney Plus.
How much you
I'm
paying
all
for it?
right now. I already have I already have the Hulu and
Okay.
ESPN Plus and and Disney bundle, and it's like $15.99.
Yeah, so I have the Disney Plus Hulu thing. It's $12.04.
Yeah, I pay for the 4K upgrade or whatever with no ads.
I do not do that.
But the big thing is the number one thing I saw is people saying, "Oh, another streaming service," and um, what am I going to do? Like, they're not taking it off cable, guys, and only doing direct to consumer. That's the biggest confusion I saw, mostly
Yeah,
from people who are not, let's say, hip with the technology of the age. ESPN's not going anywhere on Comcast. ESPN's not going anywhere on Dish or any of these other providers, YouTube TV. All they're doing is saying, for those of you who don't want a full cable subscription, now you can just pay us directly, which for someone like me, for the last 4 years, who has had to tell my wife I have to sign up for a minimum $100 bill a month because of
another
college football,
another another streaming service.
for college football alone with YouTube TV, for her to no longer have to hear that and me just say, listen, all we're doing is essentially paying like $15 more than we already paid for Disney Plus and Hulu just to get all the college football I need. It's a win on the wallet for me because I don't care about the rest of the stuff on cable. I only got cable every year for
Right.
the college football season and then canceled it the moment the national championship was over. So it's a win for me. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think I'm excited. I don't know that I'm gonna do it. I think we went over this a long time ago, but I was one of the original
Grandfathered
subscribers
in. Yeah.
to DirecTV Now, which is now DirecTV Stream. I can't remember what the name of it is now. Just like HBO Max is now HBO Max again.
Yeah.
Um, now, while they didn't keep the lifetime price that they guaranteed me. It has gone up. It's still quite a bit less than what people would pay now if they got all the channels that I get. So if I were to give that up, I kind of lose that. But I'm gonna work the numbers, Ryan. I'm gonna you know me. I'm gonna make a spreadsheet and I'm gonna figure out what the most cost-effective way is for me to have the channels my life and my family's life requires,
Yeah.
um, and figure out the best way to do it. And it may be this. I don't know. ESPN and ESPN is not going to leave the cable streaming. They're not going to do that. But with their direct to consumer model, all of those dollars are theirs. That's
It
why
makes
they
total
would
sense
do
for them.
this.
Yeah.
That's
No
why
more
they would do this.
negotiations.
And so
Now,
you got, college football, you've got NFL, you've got NBA if you care about that, you've got hockey if you care about that, you've got Major League Baseball on there, WNBA. I know a lot of people don't watch that, but there are certain teams that I'll watch and certain players that I like to watch. And then you get, there's some Big 12 stuff on there, the college football playoff. Unfortunately, is being railroaded by the four-letter network that we all know. And so there's just a lot of stuff there, and it may be worth it. It may be, but
especially
your
Vince, I
mileage
would
may
not
vary.
have been interested at all if they had not had ABC on ESPN. Because if we're not playing on the ACC network, if we're playing Clemson, it's going to be on ABC, right?
Yeah.
It just is. So the fact that they included ABC, ESPN, and me knowing like for the Notre Dame game once a year, I already have Peacock and all the NBC college football games are on Peacock, FYI, for those of you who didn't know. We don't play on uh, CBS unless we're playing against Florida. But I'm usually either at that game or at a party, so I'm never worried about the Florida game. I don't think I've ever watched the Florida State game from my house. Let's just put it that way. So all the games are covered, and more importantly, it's a great setup for tailgating because Vince and I, have our TVs and everything that we plug in and everything. Just to have a lean application that just does one thing. It just does the college football games and game day and all the stuff that we put on while we're there. It's going to be really nice. And the phone app works great too. So you can have a situation. I'm excited about seeing the app. Let me tell you why, Vince. I've used the ESPN app for a long time for game track, following a game as it's happening, like from a play by play, right?
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, now that they're launching this big package, there's probably going to be a ton of stats
Upgrades.
and
Yeah.
following other teams that are also playing at the same time, where
Yeah.
you're watching your game. And we already know they're going to do the 4 split screen that you can do. But I imagine they can have something where maybe you can add Gamecast to the side of your screen with the other games that you're watching when they get in the red zone. There's going to be some cool integrations, no doubt.
Yeah. I deleted the ESPN app from my phone a couple years ago.
Did you took my
In
advice last year and
protest?
got my app that I told you about, right?
Yeah, but I used that for maybe 2 months, and then Apple Sports came out, and that's what I use now for that.
The
But
college football app is great.
yep. Tim, I had this up a minute ago, and it timed out. Put that spreadsheet as part of the GNO perks. That may be a good idea. If I'm going to spend all this time putting a spreadsheet together to figure out the most cost-effective way for everybody to get the channels they want, maybe we'll offer that in the perks section for people to use for their own leisure. That's a good idea. So the ESPN direct to consumer, you remember a couple months ago, Ryan, there was all this talk about ESPN working with other entities to try to get something together, and apparently the bottom fell out of that.
Yeah.
So interesting on that. And unless I'm mistaken, this seems to me like ESPN just basically saying we don't want to we don't want to have to go through the fire here of talking about
Yeah.
collusion and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. We're just going to do our own thing and put our own content out. So
Well, it also helps because I mean, how many times do we go into college football where this game's not going to be on Comcast because there's a media holdout
oh,
on the
good Lord. Yep.
deal.
Yep.
Like there's always some call your broadcaster and tell them you want this, and I could see a situation because all this is based upon I imagine in the contract they had with the um, other providers that there was probably an exclusivity time frame, and that has run out. But there's also probably obviously an end window of time in which their contract in general is up for renewal with Comcast, with Dish, and all these other people. And if in the next couple of years they are able to bring, let's say, half their audience watch their game on the ESPN, well, then they can negotiate down a lower price or a higher cost from the cable because they're like, hey, we don't need you anymore. We have our own network. So if you really want us, we're going to need a few more dollars from you, Comcast. So it's also a great negotiating tool, but very interesting. I'll be excited about it. Let's see how the performance holds up the first week. It'll be a good test.
Yeah.
This time, Vince, because we're not playing on Labor Day, we're playing on Saturday. There'll actually be other games on. A few times we've been there on like Labor Day weekend, and we're the only game, and there's nothing else to put
Yeah.
on the TVs. But there'll be a big game at noon.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, it'll be fun. The the tailgating for that day is going to be fantastic.
Lots open at 7 a.m. I think for that game.
Yeah, I was hoping. Did they already announce that?
That's what Jeff Cameron said on the show
Okay,
today. By the way,
I
he
can't.
also already named it a Cat 5 maintain.
I saw that part of the show. Because normally the deal is they open the lots 5 hours ahead of time. I can't imagine that's going to be the case for this game. I think uh, the powers that be are like, we need to kickstart the momentum in this fan base from minute one. And you do that by letting people get into their spots and start hooping and hollering from 7 a.m. on. It's mimosas, it's Danish, it's bagels, and
Chick-fil-A?
then you transition right to lunch stuff. Ryan cooking on the Blackstone, which
Mm.
Ryan, you brought up a good point about um, the tailgate and the TVs and all this stuff. I don't think people are aware that when Ryan and I set up a tailgate, there are TVs there for you to watch games.
With surround
So
sound.
so yes, with surround sound. So you're not going to miss much. You may have to fight over which game we're watching.
Yeah.
But listen, you got to come by. If you're going to be in Tallahassee, you got to come by. And if you let us know we're coming by or you're going to come by, that would be a good idea so we can make sure we have enough vittles for people.
Sweet, sweet, sweet man. Let's
Some more people in the chat, some new people.
yeah, rock. Well, there's Rock and Noel always rocking and rolling with us. Tim's living the dream up in there. CHJ 229 as well. You guys are. I like how everyone's having fun in the chat tonight, which I
Yeah,
appreciate. It's a lot of
it
fun.
is. It is Breeze Fry, by the way.
Yeah. So Breeze, while you're in the chat, you live in Georgia, I assume, based on the name. Where in Georgia do you live? I'm just curious.
We don't want to give it away. Maybe he's like in
General
hiding or
area.
something.
General area.
Witness protection. Maybe he's in witness protection or something. You don't want to give it away.
We actually, me and Breeze, I think at one point messaged outside of this
Yeah.
show. But anyways, all right. ACC meetings.
ACC meetings.
Not too much news.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, Vince, I'm going to be honest with you. The biggest news I took away from the ACC meetings is the coy nature that, to me, all but guaranteed Jordan Travis will end up on the staff. That Mike Norvell answered to the question of, would you ever bring Jordan Travis in? And he was like, yeah. When he's ready to make that decision, we'll have a spot for him. Guys, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Did he say that at the meet? I thought he said that prior to the event last night. But regardless, he somebody asked the question, with Jordan Travis retiring, what are the chances? Have you thought about him coming back to be a coach? And it almost
More play.
sounded like the answer that he gave almost sounded like the question was staged.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Right. So I would not be shocked at all if we do not hear something, within the next month or two
Yep.
about Jordan finding his way onto some position on the staff. I mean, they'll probably manufacture a spot for him if it doesn't exist, already. But
And then
I'm sure Mike has the leeway to say, hey, we
yeah,
need another analyst on the offensive side of the ball.
as well as I heard rumors of a transfer quarterback, Torden Travis, that might be transferring in. Just separate piece of news there to
Separate
compete.
piece of news. Yeah, yeah, I'm still kind of angry, not angry, but it's still very disappointing that his career ended the way it did, and then you know, the way maybe the Jets didn't handle that the right way. That's all rumor. But it's really a shame that the rest of like the NFL world didn't get a chance to embrace him for who he is and the type of player that he is. So that's a shame. But to Florida State's benefit, um, and I know he loves the university, he loves the program, and for who else would you want, you know, interacting with your current roster than someone that lived and breathed, you know, the whole mentality of I will do whatever it takes to get better and make the people around me better. Did we lose you, Ryan? Yeah, you're muted. Oh, we lost Ryan. Okay, Ryan has no audio at this point, unless I don't. Can you hear me, Ryan? Yeah, you can hear me. So we've lost Ryan's audio. Ryan, jump out of the studio and go back in and see if that fixes that. The only other thing that came out of the media days that people have been talking about is the interview that AD Alford did and the type of wording that he used with some of the questions. And let's face it, anything other than Alford,
Bueller.
base, you're back. You're back, my friend.
What happened?
Anything other than Alfred saying, we're leaving today, we're leaving the conference today, and here's where we're going. People were going to be not happy with that, and
Sure.
um, you could everybody's going to read into it what they want to read into it, but keep in mind that the they settled the lawsuit. We don't have all the particulars. We don't have it finalized yet, but the lawsuits have been settled, and Florida State is in charge of its own destiny. That
Indeed.
is ultimately the most important thing. Um, I don't need AD Alford to tell me what that destiny is on May 15th.
Yeah.
Would I like him to? Yes. AD Alford, by the way, if you're not busy, if you'd like to come on the show some point, that would be great. Um,
Oh,
but
I'm going to get back to my. Oh, go ahead. You finish your thought, Vince.
no, I was going to say that that's really um, the only thing that's been, publicly out there as far as the meetings are concerned. And of course, Jim Phillips is going to say what Jim Phillips is going to say, which is basically a whole lot of we're just trying to survive talk.
Yeah. I have a Mike Norvell complaint. I'd like to file a complaint.
Okay.
He's. I've noticed this. I started to happen a lot last year. I think when the pressure has increased, he's starting to become Jimbo Fisher. When he has interviewed, whenever he's interviewed, he's starting to stammer more and wander and crossover and non sequiturs that don't make any sense and referencing things that no one knows what he's talking about and uh, not quite to the like Jimbo would add in random sayings and things no one understood.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, zip boom bamboo, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Mike
I don't
has
mean diddly do.
a lot of I'm saying nothing for a minute. Um, to not answer the question, and it's getting worse.
I don't. Yeah. So, his energy level is unprecedented, and it was on display last night. By the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about the event that we went to last night here in a moment, but it's unprecedented. And whether it's, good times or bad times, you hear the players say this all. He's the same. He is the same. He was the same last night. You were wondering, how would he, how would, how would, how would he be after the season that they just had? I'm telling you, there is a a level that he's reached from an energy point that I think is almost keeping him from finishing points sometimes.
I think, but it's
And
getting more intense because the pressure is increased.
and that could be. And I know he's got it up here. The mantra from last night, I'll just tell you the mantra from last night. What I picked up at one point, he said, what we need, he's trying to speak and energy and put energy and inject victory over this roster. He's trying to manifest that energy, that victory mentality over them. He said that to the crowd. He's like, if there's anything you can do, is like speak victory over this program. And so, Ryan, you and I are not negative people. There are a lot of negative people out there, and they are negative they're negative publicly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, social media gives them the pulpit to spew the daggers. Now, I'm not going to be dishonest. I'm going to tell you if I'm concerned about things, and I'm going to tell you whether I think Florida State's going to win the Bama game or not, and I'm going to give you reasons why. But I am not going to ever take a negative tack
Yeah.
and downplay this team. And I think that's kind of what he's getting at, is like, you can call this, 30,000 foot view, 60,000 foot view. This is way out there. This is meta. This is yin and yang and all this other stuff. But positive stuff injected into your life can only do good. So that's what his kind of theme was last night is, there's enough in the world that can tell you why things aren't going to work out. You literally can flip the channel and someone will tell you why your life is terrible and why you're never going to achieve the things in your life that you want to achieve. That's easy to find. What's hard to find is people that are positive, to speak positivity into your life. So that's what, Ryan, that's how this show kind of got started, right? There's a lot of negativity, and we weren't about that.
Yeah, we will be honest when things suck. Like, we had a few games after last year where we were honest, but we never got into the personal territory, like people on X tend to do. That being said, these kind of events, the way you're talking about, Vince, what was the formal name of it? The event
It's a
last night?
booster tour.
Yeah. So nothing he says or does is necessarily going to, flip the script or change, in my opinion. All right, but Vince, this just solidifies to me that you need to put on the ball cap. You need to get a play sheet, and you need to wear a hoodie to the Alabama game, and you need to crouch a lot because, guys, look at this picture.
Listen,
put hair back on Vince,
just a tiny bit,
and maybe, hey Vince, get some permanent markers on the eyebrows.
Yeah.
And it's astonishing.
Yeah, my eyebrows are real light. They've always been. As a matter of fact, I go get my hair cut. Believe me, I do have to get my hair cut every now and then. And they say, "Hey, do you want me to do anything with your eyebrows?" Like, no. I mean, there's really not much there. But yeah, I mean, look at this. And some people have said, "Hey, we always see you with a hat on." Well, there you go. Now you see me without a hat on. But the event itself was great. It was at TPC. and walking in there, a lot of Knowles, a lot of Garnet and Gold. Some people dressed, not dressed real nice. Some people came in shorts and jeans. It didn't have any kind of like specific vibe to it. And there's a lot of positivity in that crowd. And I was wondering, right? I was wondering how that was gonna go. But Jeff Culhane is great at his job. He
And he's
really is.
huge.
He does a great job of raising his voice to the right levels to generate some vibe, as he's talking about the team, as he's talking about the program, as he's bringing up the coaches, and then it just the whole room lifted, and it started with Coach Laux, by the way. Coach Laux came up first, and he's a tall dude, man. 6'3", 6'4", I guess, probably, maybe 6'5", I don't know. But look at that suit, dude. Look at that Garnet suit.
I was going to call out yours. What was your lapel there?
That's a spear.
I like
My
it.
kids
You
got
went
me
all
that
out.
maybe for Father's Day, maybe for Christmas, maybe my birthday. I don't know, but it's a spear. And I've got my Florida State. Those are Florida State logos all over that shirt there. My wife had the shoes everybody was talking about. My wife was wearing the shoes. So matter of fact, Norvell was like, "Those are awesome shoes." So I should have gotten a picture of the shoes.
Vince, I need to know, did you give him a Garnet Old card and tell him about our podcast?
Okay, so as we're walking up to get our picture done, I always have cards with me. I always do. And I said, Shannon, I gave him a card last year and he never called me. So I think I'm going to give him another card this year and say, hey, I think you may have lost last year's card. I didn't do that because she rolled her eyes at me when I said that. But what I neglected to do and I should have done is give him one to Coach Laux. He was awesome. Let me give you just a breakdown specifically
First,
of the things.
The duck.
What's that?
You should have given Norvell the duck.
Yeah, I'll talk about the duck here in a moment.
Yeah, give that to Norvell.
But Coach Laux, energy, he's super confident, and he's super confident because of his NBA background, and he is very confident that this team is going to be, while they may not win the national title next year, they are going to have a major turnaround. And he said, a lot of college teams, they play the way they play. Florida State is going to play the way I believe offenses should be played these days, and that is, we are going to be the fastest team in the country, and we are going to take the most three-point shots of any team in the country. He said, in order to do that, you have to recruit a different kind of athlete, and that's why one of the reasons why you've seen such a roster turnaround for him. So Florida State's losing 1-0 fourth inning. Okay. Who's on the mound tonight? Is it Jamie Arnold? I'm not sure.
Jamie Arnold.
So anyway, yeah, the other thing he said that I thought was, eye-opening, it was kind of a breath of fresh air. And he said that, this day and age is different. The teams from the ACC that made the tournament last year, and there were only 4 of them, and he said, by the way, that's ridiculous. He said those are the ones that have the highest amount of funds to give to players. There is no secret on what it takes to get players to come to your program. It's no secret. I mean, it's one of the major things, not the only thing. And he said, while I know Florida State is not going to be the top salary school, I understand that. He said, but we are going to make great strides. And so he was very upfront about that. And I thought that was very refreshing.
Yeah, just be upfront and honest about the reality of the situation.
As a perk from last night, Ryan, there was a trivia question. There were trivia questions asked, and I answered one of the trivia questions. I didn't realize that there would be a prize involved with the
What was
trivia
the question
question.
though?
The question was, I believe something like, who was before prior to Sam Singleton last year, who was the previous freshman that had a 100-yard kick return? What's the answer, Ryan?
Greg Reed?
The answer was Kermit Whitfield in the championship game,
Yeah, you're right.
right? And so I got an autographed mini football by Mike Norvell that I'm going to put here in the studio at some place. I don't know where it's going to go yet, but I didn't expect a prize, but I got a prize from last night. So how about that?
Nice. You should. I'm telling you, you should have given Mike right before you get a picture. Given Mike Norvell the duck, and then make him hold it, like
That would have been classic,
because then he
and
doesn't know what to do with it.
it would have been actually it would have been great for marketing. Actually,
Hmm.
everybody's like, "What is Ryan talking about with the duck?" This is not one of the actual ducks. The actual ducks are coming tomorrow, but there are 48 cruise ducks coming tomorrow that have a Garnet Old tag on them, and there's a QR code on the back um, that takes people to a video, a very special video that hasn't been created yet. Very special video for people that are going to be on the cruise ship with me, um, going on a cruise in a little bit, a few weeks from now, 23 days exactly. And I'm gonna hide these ducks on the cruise ship, and Ryan's going to do the show live Thursday from his house, but
Hmm.
I'm going to be live from the cruise ship at a place where the internet is feasible. Um, Starlink hopefully will be my friend,
Hmm.
and hopefully whoever finds the duck will come and join me. We'll have a studio audience on the cruise ship. That's the idea. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens with that.
and alcohol.
And there will be plenty of alcohol. Yes, there will be plenty of alcohol before that, during that, and after that.
Very nice. Well, Vince, aside from the ducks, I do want to say um, it's been a good night. It's been a good night. I hope Florida State baseball turns it around. It's the
Yeah, it's
fourth
early.
inning already. I don't
It's
like
early.
it. Especially we were favored, pretty good favorites there, I think. But
Well,
yeah,
it's going to be a tough series. North
it will be.
Carolina
Yeah,
is a great team. Thank you, Captain John Black, for sponsoring our show as usual and sponsoring the studio behind me here and Ryan's studio as well. We really appreciate that. Um, and uh, no inside info, no contacts, no problem.
I also have one funny thing to tell you, Vince.
Oh boy, this is where
When
it
my
gets this
when
is where
my
it gets off the
No, this is
rails.
not bad. This is not bad. But it could have been catastrophic for tonight. When my audio cut out and you said, Ryan, duck out and come back in, I
Hmm.
almost hit end broadcast
Oh,
because we
yeah,
said,
that
hey, Ryan, leave and come back. My
yeah.
reflex is, hey, red button. And then I'm glad it says, are you sure? And I went, instead of just
Oh,
clicking
so
yes,
you actually clicked it.
I clicked it.
Oh boy.
And then I went, no, that's not it. It's the back button next to the logo for our broadcast application here. So yeah, don't when you back out, don't click end broadcast. As I almost ended the show, like 30 minutes early.
Yeah. Another quick thing, which I meant to mention at the beginning of the show, and there's just so many topics. We have an hour. We try to get done in 1 hour.
It was almost perfect.
Um, the show graphic for tonight, Ryan. What'd you think about it?
I like
Did you
them.
did you see the Easter egg?
Here, I'll
I'm
put
gonna
it
put
up
it
for
up
everyone.
here.
Put it up on the screen, Vince.
Yeah, let me put it up on the screen so people can see it. And let's see. Let's go back here.
We're getting
And let,
messy at the end. This is what we
and let
do.
me yeah, we're getting a little crazy here, but let me put it up here because okay. So, yeah, I've used a little bit of AI sometimes to help me. This one I did all on my own, which you can probably see the
I
really
can't see anything.
the really basic nature of it.
There we go.
Um, but I got a little shout out here to my buddy, and in the left corner.
Oh yeah, you
Um,
put a little.
so
That's a SpongeBob reference there.
so
Patrick melting.
so not looking for any sympathy at all, but my family and I uh, laid to rest our pet of 14 and a half years the
Wait,
other
where's the
day.
Easter egg?
It's over here on the left. See the rainbow?
Oh, I was looking at what looked like
Yeah.
Patrick from SpongeBob on the Alabama logo.
No, no, no. So our dog Cooper uh, is resting in peace, and he was a great dog. And I'm going to shout out the company, by the way, that came to our house. They are not a sponsor, but they should be. Uh, Lap of Love. This is an amazing thing. So if you're going through some hard times with a pet passing, Lap of Love, look at that. Just do me a favor, look at that. And they just were great with our family and with the girls. Um, so thank you to them. But that's for my boy. That's for my boy Cooper. I miss you, buddy. And Ryan, thank you for the gift you sent. It was well received, and I appreciate that. You're a good friend.
I got immediately nervous with that gift because I hate when Amazon does the deliver to their mailbox instead of just on the door. But it got to you. That's what's most important.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's been a good
Um,
show.
it's been a great show, and Brian, we need to have we'd have a members only show since Tim has upped our members only count tonight with 5 gifted memberships for the first time ever on the show. Thank you, Tim, again for that.
Yeah.
So we need to get a members show
Why don't we
together.
just do it Monday, and we'll also do the duck recording. We'll do it all Monday.
Yeah, sounds good. We can do it all Monday.
I'll be in Georgia this weekend, up by Breeze Ride. That's what I was asking. I won't nowhere near where you will be. I'm in Vidalia, which is I think like an hour and a half north of where he said he was. So I was just curious. But yeah, screw ESPN eternally, except when Lee Corso comes to town. On
I
the
will watch. I
yeah,
will watch then. I will. And send Chiefs all the damn time because that's what, strong programs do.
we think of The Office a lot, Vince. Which, by the way, the reboot first poster of it came out for the new show with Greg Daniels making it. But immediately for ESPN that weekend, I'm going to say unshun, Lee Corso, reshun.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
All right, everyone. Well, we've had fun. Be good. Have a good weekend, and go Knowles.
Go Knowles.